Go ahead.
It would be really, proud moment for me to introduce my brother. So
Okay.
we have Arijit
Are we
Bhattacharya,
gonna fight about
and
it?
if you are talking about a great mentor from the East, I think he is indispensable. I use the word indispensable for him. Why? Because he is one of the very successful startups, having started the gaming industry way back in 1998. And Arijit, if I am not wrong, you started with a very paltry sum of money, right? So he had creativity, he loved to draw, and then he did his MCA, and then started off with tutorials. And I'm really blessed to write the first case study for his company, right? And it is a Scopus indexed case study which has been published by Sage. So you know great going. And today morning also, when I was posting in one of the forums that we are in Marketers Forum, I was writing about NFT in branding, and he was telling that we are using it since inception, right? So that's how a leader should be. uh, the more I talk about Arijit, right, I think the entire session will be over. But then, I'll stop here and listen to him. So, welcome, Arijit.
Thank you so much, brother, for the lovely introduction. I'm really humbled by your words and always happy to see all the other fellow members of the group. I can see a lot of professors, they have joined. Um, so, coming from a middle class family from India, wherein in our family, nobody actually thought of starting their own business. That's how the entire family structure is. I'm coming from a lawyer's family, doctor's family, combination of professors who are my uncle. Couple of things which is probably I should share with everyone. In this stage of life, because we do have a very interesting topic for today, which is burnout for entrepreneurs. So, running several different business for last 26 plus years. Started very early stage in life. I was 17 when I started my first company. Just passed out from my school and then decided that I'm not going to work for anybody else and I'm going to create job for others. Where probably the exact very word startup was not there in India. At least we never heard of startup in 1998. We never heard of entrepreneur as a word. It used to be businessman and businesswoman in those time. Yeah. And that particular time, there was no incubation center. Forget about incubation center concept. In fact, private university concept was just starting, at least in India. So coming from that stage, when a guy just passed out of school and then joined a very odd combination of economic statistics and mathematics, and then he started a game development company. People used to think that this guy is completely crazy. He's doing something completely ununderstandable by us. So I have been recognized as an animation guy instead of game development guy. So till date, India don't understand the difference between animation and game development, even though it is 2024. So for all the audience and fellow people from across the world, game development is more on interactive, works on programming, works on animation. Animation is a small part of game development, and a very big part plays in artificial intelligence. And eventually, we hopped into blockchain. We hopped into several different other technologies. Became partner with Intel, with Moga, with software development programs like Microsoft. Worked with Scrumburger. Eventually, I started around 18 different companies. For all the other people, this is the first time I'm declaring in this forum, and that was my purpose to declare. We started a fashion designing company as well. That actually happened today morning itself. We started making fashion apparels. And that's the happy news that I love to share with everyone. Now, people may say that, how exactly you are doing all these things? Is it like your one business is not doing well, or you are hopping to somebody else and you are trying your luck over there? We are running things parallel. Everything is connected. Each and every business that we build or we create is actually happening with interconnectivity. Example, the education business of ours supports our game development HR needs. Our education business supports a need in Germany, which is on nursing. So we actually train nurses from Asian countries and then give them job in few bit of European countries as well, right? Now these things are connected with the skill development, and garment business is connected with cosplay. Cosplay is a part of game development, which is basically acting as a superhero character in real life. That we started in South Korea long back as a partnership, and then I floated Cosplay Seller, which is India's first cosplay selling item e-commerce portal, jointly with another guy. So the mantra, if you don't want to burn out yourself, is relax, relax inside. So what I have learned, I would love to share you one story of my life. I was invited by a gentleman from Japan. He's a pretty rich and pretty big guy, at least in our world. And I was there. He invited me just to spend some time. Uh, I took the ticket. I was there in his home. It's a nice, cozy, beautiful castle type structure. Hope you can understand, in Japan, you cannot have a very big building structure for your own purpose. But then the guy started speaking with me from that day itself whenever I feel that I should speak to him. He was giving me a space of thinking. He was not at all talking about business. We started talking and sharing moments of life, good memories, bad memories, thought process, and he cooked for me. In Japanese culture, giving tea is very common. If you go to Asia, if you go to China, if you go to any Asian country, those are very common. But then he became a cook for me, and I'm not joking. Our organization owner, having that sizable big company, which is probably the third largest game development company in Asia, is practically cooking for me. And that moment in life, a lot of press news was actually happening with my name. I was there in almost all the known media, and I had that kind of aura that whenever I'm going, people used to be after me. They are either taking my autograph. So I was like a half celebrity. And of course, I had my own kind of ego that I'm somebody in the world. But whenever I talked to the gentleman, I learned that how humble he is. And we started sharing a lot of things from old Sanskrit, because I can speak Sanskrit. He was learning it from me. And I was learning Japanese culture. I was learning his insights of life. He was that time about 55, 56, and I was probably in my 30s. Yeah. While sharing, I was realizing that who exactly am I? If I have an ego that I have become somebody, I'm running probably a couple of different companies. That time I was probably running 5 or 4 companies. I don't remember at the moment, and a lot many initiatives. So I was thinking that if the guy who owns that sizable structure and that many number of people, and he is known everywhere, he doesn't need any kind of introduction, then who am I? So while coming back in India, I was thinking that having those kind of thought process, having an ego, or probably thinking that I'm somebody, is not very proper if you are an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur. Well, in management world, I'm sure that our fellow professors can define entrepreneurship in a different way. In my dictionary, entrepreneurship is always having a risk. It cannot be a calculated risk. You cannot calculate and optimize risk when you're starting. You cannot optimize a new thing which is not there in the market, whatever market study you do. So it comes from inside, it comes from heart, it comes by passion, right? So a passionate person, when they start, if they don't understand who they are and what is the purpose, why they start this business, is it only making money? Then I think we need to think multiple times. And in due course of time, in several years down the line, I learned that how to become like water. So in today's time, uh, that Arijit and today's Arijit Bhattacharya, I actually don't think much nowadays. If you ask me that, can you come at 2 o'clock? I will say yes. If you say that, can you shift it to 2:30? I will say again, yes, if that is possible. The reason is, I don't know the other person, what is going on there. So when you conduct a seminar, when you are having probably multiple people from different time zone, there will be issues conducting such kind of big size seminars. So if I feel that I can add a little bit, adapt a little bit, that is fine. It's a property of water. You don't react, you accept. You reflect. So it doesn't mean that you have to become a Swamiji with like, if you are really an entrepreneur, right? You cannot have a complete egoless life. It will be very difficult. You have to have something which is very small, tiny bit, which is not actually ego, but rather self-respect. It may happen that if you are a monk, your lifestyle and your structure is different. That moment is different. You're living in that moments. But as an entrepreneur, if we are talking about burnout, the best thing is don't react. Learn to be dynamic. Shubhrata was actually talking about NFT. So we adopted blockchain in 2016, eventually hopped into multiple different verticals. NFT, we have been building solution for last approximate, I think, not less than 2.5 years, which is like very early stage of NFT adoptions. Now, how all these things are happening? In our organization, we choose people who can be leaders. I cannot expect that I'll be getting leaders. But if I am a leader, it is my duty to create more leaders, give them power, and see how they act and react. There'll be issues. If you take fresher, they will do a lot of mess up, they will do something mishap, they will do something which is not very proper. But you as a leader, you need to guide them how to become a great leader and then create a job without any kind of issues. So let's accept one thing. If you're doing some work, there will be issues. If you're doing something which is cool, which is new, which is completely not there in the market, there will be people who will be giving you inputs like this is not proper, color balance is not right, maybe your thought process is not optimized with my thought process. Accept everything. But I'll take one key line from Iron Man. Accept everything, but do whatever you want to do in your way. Because what you're thinking, if that thought process is proper, structured, in line, it will be a success. Now, there is a question. If there is a lot of work, how can you manage your time? Just create a time schedule for yourself. It goes with any entrepreneur, it goes with any professional, right? And be flexible to change that time. Create a situation in your life that you have free time for yourself. If you're too busy with daily work, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, maybe I'm making a lot of statement which is coming from heart, but that's a fact. If you can't give time to yourself, which is like your own time, not your family time, not with your kids, not with your friend, maybe a 15-minute time just for your own mind to have a peace. You will find out there are a lot of new things that is coming out from your brain. Nobody can beat human brains, right? And for that, if you have to travel, travel. For that, if you feel that you're exhausted, you need a vacation, go for a vacation. That's fine. I've seen so many different kind of startups, so many different variety of entrepreneurs. There are traders, there are change makers, there are creators. It's a fact. People do burn out. They feel that, my God, I am doing too much. Now I can't accept it. It is happening because probably you don't love the work that you're doing. I'm sorry. It is because probably you can't manage your time properly. Again, I'm sorry. It is not that you don't have time. It is that You can't manage your time. I'll give you one small trick. I don't drive cars. I never. If I have to go somewhere, I'll put a driver, I'll be in the back seat because I am gonna actually use that timing, including the traffic time, for the work. I'll write mails, I'll have calls, I'll have conversations, probably I'll have a Zoom meeting, doesn't matter, right? But that time needs to be utilized properly. Second tips. I'm not going to go for a speech. Second tips, which I can do. Yeah. It may be different from person to person. Each and every year, if I travel a lot, to be very honest. Because of work, I travel a lot. But if I travel, I make sure at least half a day I'm relaxing and mixing with locals. If I'm going to your country, it can be, I don't know, Southeast Asia, it can be Europe, it can be USA, it can be Netherlands, I don't care. But I will have local food from a local joint. I'm not going to enter any kind of sophisticated restaurant. You know the reason why? I want to mix with that particular person. I want to understand their culture. I want to understand the taste, the original taste. And then I want to talk to the person at least for 5 minutes. Trust me, believe me, your mind will be blown away how these guys are running their own venture. What is their background? How he or she started? Why they exist? Why he is running that? You will learn a lot. And those learning, when you come back, put up a diary. Please, not in a computer. It can be in your head. It can be a normal, simple diary. Write it down what you have learned. End of the year, I check them. Who are these people in my life? Some of them becomes part of my life. One of the nicest example, I can take the name of the gentleman. His name is Okhle Mark. Okhle is coming from UK. We met in Thailand in a seaside. He was doing yoga and enchanting mantra. He was doing something wrong, so I never knew him. I just went in front of him and said that, hey, you know what? You're not doing proper mantra. This is the actual one. We started chatting with each other. Eventually, we became friends. He was like in his half pants, huge body. He's an MMA fighter. I understood that he is learning BJJ in Thailand. Slowly, I understood he owns 5 different companies over there in Europe. Eventually, I understood that he actually wanted mental peace. And that's the reason he came there to learn Buddhism. We started chatting with each other. Till date, we are friends. Friends like eternity. Whenever there is an option, we meet with each other, hug. There is no business that we do. But then there is a vibration that you can get. So when we talk about these burnouts, these management terms, I'm so sorry, there is no course that can actually teach a person how not to burn out yourself. There is only one thing. If you feel that you want to become a successful person and then understand time management, there is a management course which can teach you how to manage your time. There will be process like how to become a great HR. There is a process how to become a great leader. If you combine everything, then your burnout goes. I'm sorry, maybe this is not at part the line of our topic of how not to burn out as an entrepreneur, but then there is no such way until unless you yourself feel that, okay, fine, I'm in front of a waterfall, and then can I be like that water? Okay, raise your hand. Let me take a small survey. I know there is a limited time. Raise your hand. How many of you have been in front of a river and then jumped without any question? Without question. You're thinking that water is cold. Oh my God, what will happen if I fall down? Oh my God, this is, I mean, full of rocks. What will happen if I jump? Can I break my head? How many of you have done that? I do that. You know why? It actually teaches you, if you can take a risk, there is a supreme power who will actually save you. And it is actually teaching you how to control your neuron and your body. Okay. Very simple. Another question. How many of you have used bicycle without motorbike or car and then traveled for maybe 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers in a village? I know my friend actually usually love to go to villages. I know Subhrata very well. He goes there and he spends in nature. Other people, please, apart from Subhrata. Anybody else? Have you ever tried any bicycle, went to a village full of mud, cycling on those mud, and then maybe stopped the cycle in front of a vegetable seller, started talking, and then explored that. They have got a beautiful family. You went to that particular villager's home and then tried Akhir Rosh. I'll not take that English name. Okay. You Google it. How many of you have done that? You know, if you can do this without thinking, you are in the right track. Those small feelings are actually teaching you, if you come back, how you can give away your most precious project to a newcomer just to test. Right? These are small baby steps which teaches you how not to hold everything. Okay, let me be a little bit of monk with the last line. We came here without anything, without clothes. We came here crying, probably. Yeah. When you go away, irrespective of the fact from which dharma, which culture you are coming, you will not take away anything. The same thing will happen. Yeah. We'll go naked without anything. So if you are there in this mortal world, you have a work to do. That's what we call as karma. And there is a eternal power which is actually giving you neuron vibration to connect with another human being or maybe an animal. Why you want to hold everything in this small journey? There is no reason. So when you build companies, you just think that you're building the company. Now you are acting as a protector. So protect your company. Now to protect it, when it is very big, you have a family, right? In family, what happens? If you have a big family, like maybe 300 people family, can you manage that 300 people? You have your uncle, you have your grandfather, you have a grandmother, you have a mom. So why can't you create that in your organization? It's very easy. Pretty easy. So with a humble note, a company is not a company until unless you actually treat it as a family. And your employees, if they don't become your team member, then I'm sure, so sorry. It's not an organization. It's just a company, which is probably earning a little bit of money and going towards something which is meaningful, maybe. But in my notes, if you really want to diversify into various different fields, when you're in blockchain, put your brain in blockchain. When you're in fashion, put your brain in fashion. Don't mix both of them. And then switch everything off. When you're in game development, you do game development. When you're in probably in real estate, do only real estate. When you make movies, make only movies. Again, switch it off. After 2 to 3 days, think that where you can connect the dots. If you can, you will never burn out. With this note, I think I should stop myself. I've already used 24 minutes. I think 4 minutes extra. You asked for 20 minutes. Yep.
You can use the 4 minutes if you want. Very interesting, Arijit. I always enjoy listening to you. From the time I started inviting you, I'm learning so many things. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm actually hope that we've got on here lots of academia that's actually on here, and you're very right. We're so focused on our academia and all the other things we're doing, we actually forget about ourselves. So wonderful. Thank you so much for enlightening us and for allowing us to actually look, to do some introspection on ourselves, and make a plan going forward, because you're absolutely right. We came with nothing, we go with nothing, and it's all up to us. Absolutely. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
One last note, can I do that?
Yes, sir.
You know why we do that as namaskar? You know the meaning
Are you
of
asking
namaskar?
me? Are you asking me?
surrendering.
Okay. I did that in IIM probably long back. I don't know how many of you remember. It's called Namah Te Namah. Namah, my brain. your brain comes together to do a greater goodness. Okay, so there is a meaning, inner meaning of everything what you do in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arijit. Thank you. Dr. Sabrata, you want to say anything?
Yeah, so great learning as always, right? In fact, I get to know a lot more about Arijit because I closely follow him. I don't know whether he knows that or not. But then, in the different forums, in the YouTube channels, that the lectures that he gives, right? I listen to that, right? And it's always so very inspiring, right? So he is doing an amazing job, right? But then, he is not, an entrepreneur in that sense, I would say, because he always has his passion, right? Whenever I have called him, for sessions or in the different academic institutions, I see that he makes out his time, so that is great. But then, unfortunately, the we were discussing in the morning, the educational ecosystem could not, possibly give him the support and the synergy that he requires to scale further. So that's another part of the story. But then it's a very sad story, right? So you know that's what is important, right? The educational institutional institute or institutional industry interface has to come up in a big way. So that is absolutely required, right? Thank you so much, Arijit, for your time, and listening to you live after a long time is a real pleasure, right? So, do we move to Dr. Vinod Ghimide? Uh, so another great friend of mine from Trubon University.